Get focused, get free, stay positive. You're now listening to Focused and Free with Reed.
Hey. So happy to have you guys back with another episode of Focused and Free with Reed. Look, I'm just so happy that you guys have decided to tune into another episode. Again, thank you. I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode for last week, which was Can You See Clearly Now? And we were talking about healing. Why? Because healing is important. So I definitely hope you guys enjoyed that particular episode. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it today. So I'm just going to talk about some everyday stuff today, because I like to keep it, I just like to keep it all the way 100. And not only that, I just like to always give real life scenarios. So, let's just be honest. All of us at some point, we've either dated someone, or if you dated, now you're married. Whatever the case might be, we've all dated someone, of course. And so the first few dates, or the first date, if they make it to a few. So there's some dates that you go on, and you're like, look, I can already tell this ain't gonna work, and they're going to get somebody else to do it. You can already tell with some people, it's a no. Even in conversation, when you're trying to build that connection, with some individuals, you'll be like, no, I'm just gonna move on from this. This ain't it. This ain't gonna work. So I know somebody's felt like that, because I know, I'm gonna be honest, I felt like that myself. No, we just gonna end this right here. We're not gonna even worry about a second conversation, a second date. Just no. So then, on another hand, there might be somebody that you indeed, or that you met, or that you meet, and the conversation is just amazing. You're laughing. You have you have similarities. It's all good in that first beginning stage, and you're like, okay, this person, or this might be the one. Well, of course, like I said, in the beginning, it seems just perfect. It seems like it is well. It seems like everything is just great. This person can't do no wrong, and there's no flaws. But as you get to know that person, or as you get to build, you start to realize there's a few things that kind of get on your nerves, or that you might not necessarily agree with, or you start to realize in that phase that there are a few flaws that you may not know how to deal with. You might realize in that moment, or after a few conversations or a few months, that this person might still have some trust issues, or they still might have communication issues, or they may not know how to, you might be, neat, your stuff in a certain manner, and they just are the type of person that throws things everywhere and get to it later. So, and also not only that, but they may not even know how to deal with things basic things, just general things in life, like banking, shopping, even learning or knowing how to cook. And so you're like, I don't know. I was interested in the beginning, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest, because this is a lot. That's what usually ends up happening as we begin to develop, and we start seeing things. We start asking ourselves, is this connection worth it? Is all of this, does the good outweigh the bad? Is this something that this person is willing to grow from or get past? We start asking all of those questions, and at the end of the day, you probably ask yourself, am I still interested? Am I still interested in building a connection with this person? Because now I'm seeing everything that, that they deal with and that they go through. And you have to make that decision. Am I interested in continuing to build this connection. Well, that's the same way sometimes it is on this journey with God. So you get to building, or you get saved, you get Holy Ghost filled, and everything is great in the beginning. I mean, it seems like sunshine every day in the first beginning. It seems like lollipops and rainbows are being presented to you. And then as you get to growing and going along or going down the road of this journey, you start realizing like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, another trial, another tribulation, another thing that I'm having to deal with. I'm having to grow. And let me tell you something, growing doesn't always feel good, but it's necessary. And so we get to feeling all those things, and we're like, okay, now, in the beginning, this was all good, but now it's starting to hurt a little bit. Now I'm starting to realize that everything that's coming my way, I'm not basically knowing how to deal with those things. And we have to end at that point in time. You're asking, okay. And you may not even say it out loud, but you might say, this is a lot. This is a bit much. Or I came over here on this side to not have to deal with things. But how many know that Jesus suffered? So in the same sense that we always ask, we're always saying, God, I want to be like you. Jesus, I want to be like you. I want to do miracles in your name. I want to help people be delivered in your name. But how many know that in the midst of all of that, we do in turn have to go through some. We have to be tried. We have to be put to the test in some things. We have to grow. And in order to grow, we have to go through those things. So you find yourself asking, am I still interested? Am I still even interested in praying? Am I still interested in getting to know who God really is further? Because a lot of times what ends up happening is when we start going through things, we begin to slack. We begin to start letting the things in which we go through or that we're dealing with outweigh the relationship in which we have with God. And so in turn, we you're going through, but not only do you allow what you're going through or what you're dealing with to overtake you, you stop reading the word, you stop praying, you stop worshiping, you start to, deviate to a place that you start neglecting the relationship. Because that's like, even in the natural relationship, if somebody is doing something that you don't like, it's kind of like you start ghosting God. You start ghosting the relationship. And that's what happens in the natural. When, someone decides like, hey, if you're, dating a woman, or you're man dating a woman dating the man, and you say, I don't know about this situation. I don't know about this. And things start to seem like they're getting a little tougher. And there are some people that, in relationships, they decide, okay, I'm just going to ghost the person. I'm not going to tell them what's going on. I'm not going to tell them what they did. None of that. I'm just going to leave. And so we don't want to have that type of relationship with God. We want to keep an open communication, because you best believe that no matter what it is that you might be going through, He understands and He feels exactly what you're feeling, and He knows, and He'll never put more on you than you can bear. So that's why it's important that even when we're going through, that we not lose sight on the relationship that we have with God. We don't want to lose sight on that relationship, because Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. If indeed you don't grow weary in what you're doing or your pursuit for God, guess what? You will reap a wonderful harvest. You will reap a great harvest in Him, but you have to stay focused. You can't neglect the relationship, because what ends up happening is when we neglect our relationship with God, yes, it starts off where we're probably in a state that we are upset or we're mad. But what ends up happening is, as you begin to deviate to a different place, then the relationship and your understanding Because let's be honest, when we're not reading our word, the word is a key thing or key book in our life that we need daily. We need the word, because the word lets us know that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word. So we have to make sure indeed that we have this word. Every word, that word that's in the Bible helps us indeed to find strength no matter what we're going through. It helps us to find peace. And not only that, the word has so many promises. And how can you know what you have access to if you're not in your word, if you're not praying and constantly on your face? So yeah, no matter what it is that you might be going through, keep that relationship on lock with God. Don't neglect the relationship because things might not be going your way. We don't want to neglect the relationship, because when we neglect our relationship with God, we definitely fall more easily and we succumb to our emotions. We don't know the promises we have. And it's important that we know the promises in which we have within within the word and with God. We want to definitely, make sure that we're keeping and maintaining that relationship, because it is important. Like, you can ghost someone in the natural, but listen, you can't ghost God. You can't ghost God. And, and even if you try to ghost him, that'll be the one of the biggest mistakes that you could ever make, because he is so amazing, and he wants to give you everything that he has for you. So I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 9:10, and it says, "Whatsoever thy hands find it to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest." And y'all, I'm going to read that from my New Living Translation, because I just like the way in which it reads. But it says, "Whatever you do, do well. For when you go to the grave, there will be no work or planning or knowledge or wisdom." Listen, while we are here on this earth, we have to do what God has told us to do, and we have to do it to the best of our ability. Like, we don't have time to waste. We don't have time to waste. And I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and I was telling them, I just realized, like, when I got to the age of 30, how precious time was and how precious my time was. And how, I have, in everything that I do in my life, I try my best to make it count. I try my best to use my time wisely, because y'all, it's so important that we're not just idling away with our time, or it's so important that we do whatever we can do, or we can put our hands to whatever we can put our hands to for the with helping, being a blessing, doing the fulfilling and pouring out unto other people. It's just so important that we use our time wisely. So as the word say, whatever you do, do well. For when you go to the grave, there will be no work or planning or knowledge or wisdom. So whatever wisdom that God has placed into you, it is your job to pour out amongst others and impart into them what God has given you. You want to give them that knowledge. Like I said, we don't want to neglect the relationship with God. We want to definitely make sure that we are always in his face. We want to make sure that we're always praying. We want to make sure that we're always learning in his word. We should have indeed with our Savior. So that's definitely important. And we have to remember to put our trust in God and not ourselves. The Bible tells us to lean not into our own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. We want to not trust in what we think, because our ways are not his ways, and our thoughts are not his as well. We want to trust and depend on God. And how can you know what his ways are and what he has for you to do if we're neglecting the relationship, if we're not building in prayer, if we're not, asking God daily, Lord, what is it that you would have me to do? What is it that you would have me to say? Because whether we believe it or not, what He has for us to do is so important. No, like I always tend, like to say, no matter what it is that you've been through, or no matter what it is that you've seen or done, God has a purpose and a plan for you. But how can you know it if you neglect the relationship? How can you know it if you're ghosting God? Because things are not always going your way. And I'm going to be honest, y'all, I was one of those that would literally get in a place and have a temper tantrum because things were not going my way. Like, I would completely shut down and I would stonewall. I would get in my feelings because I would be upset. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. And these people, like, I was having a whole moment. Like, it would just be wild sometimes. When I look back at it, I was like, oh, Jesus, I was really tripping. But no, honestly, like, I would literally get to a place where I would be like, you know what, I'm mad. And Jesus was just, our everlasting Father, our amazing King, would just literally be there like, all right, whenever you get through, having your temper tantrum or going through your moment, I'm going to still be right here. Because He will never leave us or forsake us, even when we're going through those moments. That's why I say you can't ghost God, because the Word clearly lets us know that He'll never leave us nor forsake us. So it doesn't matter how heavy you get in those feelings or how much you decide that you're going to go, throw a temper tantrum. That's all right. You can't ghost Him, but you can neglect the relationship in which you have with Him. And He wants us to have a relationship with Him. You want to know how I know? Because the first, Luke 10:27 says, the first and great commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. A person's love for God must show itself in love for people. A person's love for God must show itself in love for people. So that's amazing because, like I said, we want to be like God. But the first step to loving people is we have to partake and have a relationship and love God. Because the first and great commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart. That is with everything that is inside of you. You must love God. And like I said, we definitely don't want to. I'm going to say it probably about 15 to 20 times by the time you get off of, or by the time you're no longer listening to this episode, you'll be saying like, hey, I can't neglect God. And like I said, even when we are going through, or even when it indeed hurt sometimes, I have to ask myself, or you even have to ask yourself, am I still interested in what God has for me? Am I still interested in knowing Him on a deeper level? Even though I may not like the way in which I feel right now. Even though, I've been hurt. Even though I don't know how to rebuild, because I can guarantee you this. It doesn't matter what it is that you might have gone through or that you might be feeling. Jesus has indeed felt that very thing as well. He's experienced all these emotions that we tend to forget, while He was on the cross. And so Jesus knows and He understands how we feel. But what we don't want to ever do is neglect our relationship. I think about the story of Job, and out of everything that Job was going through, everything that he was dealing with, everything that he was feeling, y'all, Job would never ever in no moment, like, he cursed the day that he was born, he cursed himself, but he would never ever curse God. And Job 13 began to say, Job 13:15 says, though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him. but I will maintain my own ways before him. Job was so sold out to, after losing his family, everything, I'm talking about everything that he owned. Job says, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Listen, we have to remember that no matter what it is that we might be going through or that we might be dealing with, Jesus knows. Like, he knows and he understands. He has our back. He has our best interests at heart. And, we said we want to do all these things in his name, but we have to go through something, because I often would, when I would go through things and I didn't understand why. Now that I'm in, a place of, waiting for God and doing his will and ministry, I now understand and see why God, and y'all, it makes me so emotional even now. Like, I definitely now understand why it is, or why it was that I went through those things that God had me to deal with. Because if I did not go through those things, y'all, I would not understand the ministry and the assignment and even the way in which he wants me to do what he's called me to do. I had to feel those things. I had to go through those things. Because as I always state, a lot of times we don't want to go through the test. But how in the world can you not go through the test and expect to have a testimony? Because think about the word testimony. The first words are test. You have to go through something in order to come out on the other side so that you can tell others. A lot of times, y'all, I would get so upset. I'm just going to be honest. I would sometimes get so offended and so upset that, until God healed me, because he had to heal me from that thing. But when I would be going through things and people would say, I understand. I know how it is you feel. And I'm like, no, you don't. Because the very things that I'm telling you, you don't understand it. You don't feel it from where it's coming from on my side, or how you don't understand, like, what fire I'm in, and we would get, I even heard people that say that, like, how can you tell me what it is that I've gone through and you haven't experienced? But y'all, it's a different ball game when God has taken you through that thing and he's assigned you to people that you're going to minister to and going to be able to tell how God brought you over, and they're going to be delivered by your testimony. They're going to be healed by your testimony. They're going to be set free and have a better understanding of who God is by your testimony. So it's important that we allow God to do his perfect work in our lives. It's important that we allow God to be who he is in our lives. Let God do his God thing in our lives. And like I said, it's going to be a lot of times where we don't understand, y'all, and that's okay. I promise you, like, it is okay to not always understand what God is doing, but I guarantee you this: if you stay on your face and you stay in his presence and stay in his will, and don't let our emotions take over us, not succumbing to how we feel in that moment, and pushing and saying, you know what, nope, I don't feel like it, but guess what? I'm going to press toward the mark. I don't feel like it, but guess what? I'm still interested in you, God. I still want to get to know who you are in my life. God, I still want to get to know the plans that you have for me. I'm still interested in where you want to take me. I'm still interested in having a prayer life with you. God, I'm still interested in worshiping you. I'm still interested in building a relationship with you, God. No matter what it is that I might go through, no matter what it is that I might feel, I'm still interested. Take the time out today and say, God, I'm still, just let him know, even though he knows our heart, just begin to worship him. Sometimes I find myself just in tears, y'all, because I literally think about the mercy of God. And that's, I really think about the mercies of God and how, no matter what it is that I might have done or that I might have said or that I might have thought, he was still there. He had like so much mercy. Like he gave me so many chances. Even, they say I know they sing a song that says he's a God of a second chance. But no, he's a God of chance after chance after chance after chance. Like, he does not give up on us. So what we don't want to do, just because something is not going right in our life, we don't want to give up on him, because he's not going to give up on us. Let us not grow weary in doing what God has called us to do. Like I said, y'all, and I was, laughing at the thought of that. But no. Y'all, we don't want to ghost anybody in real life. We want to be honest. I often say that we are old enough at this point to know how to be mature, and how to, if we don't be mature, and if we don't like something or like what someone else is doing, just lay it out on the line like, hey, we don't want to ghost. I know, like I said, you might can ghost people though. You might can, you have a chance with ghosting people, but don't do it, y'all. Don't ghost anybody. You have a chance with ghosting people, but listen, let's not try or attempt to ghost God, because you can't ghost him. For, he's in every place. He knows, like I said, he understands, and he loves you. Like, he really does. Because I don't want to forget to say this, while it's literally on my mind right now, how you wait is very, very, very important. You have to choose how you wait, or how you're going to wait for God to do what you're asking him to do. You can decide to, as I stated, you can decide to wait on him with an attitude, or you can wait on him in a state of praise, worship, and thanks. A lot of times that's as I stated, like I would wait, but it would be in a angry way. My waiting was me thinking that if I pout, if I get an attitude, or if I scream, fall on the floor, then okay, literally having a temper tantrum and acting like a toddler. At some point, he's gonna see about me. He's gonna do what I need him to do. But no, you have to, whatever you have before God, or whatever you're asking him to do, you have to wait in a manner that pleases God. And having a temper tantrum is not the way to wait. We want to wait in a way that is pleasing to God. So that's one of my questions today. If you had to ask yourself, while I'm waiting for God to do what I'm asking him to do, how am I waiting? Am I waiting in a place where I'm upset? Am I waiting grudgingly? Am I waiting with a cheerful heart? Am I waiting with a grateful heart? Because Psalms 27:14 says, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Wait for what you're asking God for. Do it in a positive way, because there might be some growing that you might need to go through before God gives you what he wants you to have. There might be something else that he wants to download into you, or some other places ready for what he has for you. Because one thing that I often say, I don't want anything outside of the will of God, and I don't want it in the wrong timing. Because if you get something, or if something is put in your hand at the wrong timing, and you don't know how to be a good steward over whatever has been placed in your hand, you're going to mishandle it, and you're going to fumble the ball big time. And we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is, while we're waiting, we want to have a good spirit, a good attitude. We want to continue to praise God, worship him, but do it from a place that is pure and open, and not in a mean and grudge, holding a grudge against God, like, why I don't have this, or crying and having a temper tantrum. We don't want to do that. We want to wait on God and do it in the right manner. And listen, when it comes down to it, he is our help. He is our help. Let's just be honest. I ain't leaving my help for no help. Because Psalms 121:1-2 says, I will lift my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Listen, we need help. We need help through everything that we are going through, that we are dealing with. We need help. And guess what? He will help you. Your help cometh from the Lord. He made heaven and earth. So guess what? It doesn't matter what it is that you might be going through. Like I said, I know we feel those emotions. We get in our feelings. We get upset. But guess what? We got to remain interested in the relationship. Because, again, the scripture says, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He made heaven and earth. He made everything. So he knows what we need. So don't leave your help for no help, y'all. Like, don't leave your help. Let God do his perfect work in you. Like, let him, do everything that he needs to do. So don't fail to worship him. Don't fail to praise his name. Don't fail to, talk to him. Don't fail to tell him how you feel. Like, keep that the same way that we maintain a relationship in the natural. We have to be even more diligent about maintaining our relationship with God. You can tell him whatever it is that you might be going through, that you might be feeling, or that you might be dealing with. He knows. And guess what? He cares. And he is indeed concerned about you. God is concerned about you. So go to him and tell him what it is that you have a desire or a hunger for. Just let God do his perfect work in you. Because like I said, he will see you through. Remain interested in the relationship. Just remain faithful to God. Because that we remain faithful to God, he will in turn he's gonna be God. And that's the thing. Wait a minute. That's my thing. I said, God, I have to often go in his presence and I'm like, Lord, forgive me. Because you have been so faithful, wants us to partake in everything that he has for us. Like, he's so faithful. He's so merciful. So don't ever feel like you can't go to him. Ask God in this next season to give you a hunger and a thirst to get to know him, but the more. Ask him to reveal his will to you for your life, because he wants to do that. I don't care what anybody or how anybody portrayed him as the Punisher. No, God wants to love you. He wants to love you back to life. He wants you to experience everything that he has for you. Like, he loves you, and I'm going to always remind you of that. Every time I get on here, I'm going to let you know that he loves you and he's concerned about you. So y'all, I definitely hope that you enjoyed and taking something away out of this particular episode. Of course, you guys know that we indeed have to. I have to give you the song for I'm going to say the song for the week, because I do this once on Monday, so once a week. So this is going to be the song for the week. It is by David and Nicole Binion, and the song is called Hunger. So I hope that today that you guys have, taken some out of the word. And y'all know, I'm praying, you guys can always inbox me. I love to hear your feedback. Love to hear that if you were blessed by anything. I just love y'all are so encouraging to me. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning into another episode. And as I always say, stay focused, stay free, because it's the best way to be. And if you are not focused, get focused and get free, because I promise y'all it's the best way to be. Until next time.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Focused and Free with Reed. Make sure you stay focused and free, because it's the best way to be. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode.